Hi there. Welcome. Are you here for your coaching appointment? Okay. Very nice to meet you. Yes. Have a seat. Great. So how are you doing today? Okay. And let's talk about why you're here. Right. Yes. That's a very good New Year's resolution. Okay. Would you mind if I take some notes as I ask you some questions to get started? And then we'll do some hands-on exercises together. Okay. So just to set the stage for today, it's just a consultation. So it's your free consultation that you've booked with us. And during today's time together, we're going to talk about what brought you here today, what you'd like to achieve from our services, how I might be able to help. And it's for me to try and diagnose where are the areas of your life where I can be the most beneficial, and for you to start putting into concrete terms what kind of goals and objectives you have from our time together. Okay? Yes, and afterwards I will absorb all this information, I'll go through it, and I will email you a broken down schedule of how we might work together and also the cost for that, okay? Great. Now today's completely complimentary. Wonderful. So, tell me a little bit about this New Year's resolution. How did it come about? Okay. So you'd like to get more organized? Yeah. What have been some of the challenges that you've had that have led you here? Okay. Okay. Yes, that's very common, not finding time for our passions and our hobbies as we get a little bit busier. Okay. Yes. All right, I understand. Yes. Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how distressed do you feel by this? Okay, so quite distressed. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. But the good news is that there's a lot we can do. So just to summarize a little bit, you've come here because you'd like to get more organized, but what you're telling me is the effects of not feeling organized or not being able to be organized is that you don't feel like you have control of your own time, and you're not finding a lot of time for what you're truly passionate about. So you're spending a lot of time on errands, things you feel that you have to do, and not so much on what you want to do. Is that right? Okay. And overall, it's giving you the sense that you've lost track of what's important in your life. And it's very distressing. I can completely understand that. And, this is a very beneficial time to come in. The new year, January, after the holidays, we have a bit more energy. We're starting to think about what are we going to do with this year ahead of us? How are we going to invest our time in the best way that we can? Great. So I just wanted to say well done for coming in today and for taking the first step. And it's very difficult and very scary to try and break out of our habits and what we were used to. So I commend you on being brave enough to do this very first action to get you started on this journey. Okay. All right, so thinking about organization and time, there are quite a lot of things that we can do. These are common concerns that we hear about in our institute here. You're not alone, and it's something that I've struggled with in my past, and a lot of our clients come in with the same kind of concerns. So don't feel like you are behind or have any, special difficulties. It's definitely normal in our day and age. There's so much vying for attention. We have our electronics, we have work, we have things that we're trying to do, we have our families, our friends, our relationships. Yeah. So just a few more basic questions about who you are. So how old are you? Okay. And what is your family status at the moment? Okay. And do you live by yourself or with others? Okay, how many? Okay. Are you renting? Do you own your own home? Okay. Are you currently employed? You are? Alright. Is it full-time, part-time, self-employed? Full-time. And you have your own business on the side, okay? That's wonderful. What is your primary source of employment? Okay. Great. And your own business? That's very cool. Okay. Sounds like a lot of effort would go into both of those. Yes. And what do you do to relax? Okay. Okay. Now, just some preliminary questions that we always ask to make sure that we can focus our time on the things that we can truly help with, and everything else on the basic level is taken care of, okay? Do you feel that you are currently in good health? Okay. Are you currently experiencing any mental health concerns or being treated for them? Okay. Bit of anxiety? Okay. And is that clinically diagnosed? Yeah. Okay. It's perfectly common. Okay. And do you feel in a good place with that right now? The reason that I ask is because the work that we will do together does require some mental effort, and we want to make sure that we are in the best place to work together. Okay, great. All right, so those are the questions that I wanted to ask. What I would like to do next is a diagnostic tool that helps us to understand where we can best focus our attention. And then I have an idea for a hands-on exercise we can do together for a method that you can take away with you straight away. Before we get started, would you like something to drink? Sure. We have water, sparkling or still. We have tea, so that can be black tea, green tea, and we also have beer and wine. A glass of wine? Absolutely. Would you prefer white or red? Red. Perfect. Let me get that for you. Yes, we just have some Italian wine. Yeah. Perfect. Enough? All right. Wonderful. Great. Here you are. Yeah. Okay. Let me know if you'd like some more. Okay. So, what I would like to do is an exercise that is very beneficial to try and understand which areas of your life could use some attention. Okay? And the way that it works, it is an exercise called the Wheel of Life. Have you done the Wheel of Life exercise before? Does it sound familiar? No? Okay, so I will explain it. This is an example of the exercise that we are going to do. The way that it works is we examine the different spheres of your life, and then we get a complete picture of your life as a whole, okay? So we think about your physical environment, your recreation, your personal growth, your romance area or significant other, your friends and family, your health, your money, and your career. And sometimes when we think about coaching, it's very difficult to isolate what it is exactly that we can most beneficially focus on. And the reason for that is very naturally we think of our life as one whole, and all of these areas are interrelated amongst each other. So sometimes when we're on the inside, on the receiving end of this circle of life, it may feel for us that it is an interconnected whole that we cannot tell apart. We cannot discern which area is doing what. And this is exactly what this is for. So what we are going to do is talk about each of these areas in your own life, and we're going to fill from 1 to 10 how satisfied you are with that area. This is an example of a wheel of life that's anonymized from another one of our clients, and we're going to do one for you. Okay? Wonderful. So I'm just going to read the directions for you. Okay? We're going to treat the center of the wheel as 0 and the outer edge as a 10. So our 0 point is here. Alright? And the outer edge here is our 10. Okay, does that make sense? And so if you look at each slice of the cake, this is what we're working with. Imagine that each of these lines has little grooves, and they tell you just how satisfied you are with each area. Alright? What we're going to do is rate your level of satisfaction in each of these slices. And the way to think about this is, how do you feel in terms of your own expectation of these areas? And also, are you getting what you need out of those areas? And this doesn't need to be objective in any way or scientific in any way. In fact, you are here to talk about how you feel and how you perceive your own life. So there is no right or wrong, okay? Alright. So, if we set that aside, here's the wheel of life that I've prepared for you. I'm just going to set this like this, and let's think about it together. First, let me see if I can find a highlighter pen. It could be quite useful. So we'll use this pen, and we'll use this highlighter pen to fill in our wheel when we're done. Once again, we can use this as a rest. I'll just pop this into the clip. And let's think about this together. So, let's begin with your physical environment. Your physical environment means your home, the space that you have for yourself, so such as your room, if you are sharing, which you are, and also your office, your neighborhood, the spaces that you inhabit, okay? So starting with 0, ending in 10, how happy are you with your physical environment? Do you have the space you need to do the things that you want to pursue, and so on? Yes, okay, so an 8. Alright, so what I'm going to do is color in the line here for us as a guide. Alright. Let's continue to fun and recreation. So these are the things you do in your free time, and in fact, whether or not you have free time. And do you do them regularly? Do they bring you joy? A 6. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we will talk about why that is later on, okay? Now, your personal development. This area is one where we tend to neglect a little bit. this is about learning new skills, about feeling that you are growing and improving as a person, and that your image of who you are matches the way that you exist in the world. So on the personal development scale, where do you feel? An 8 as well. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now let's move on to your career. So this is both your formal employment and the activities that promote your personal brand, your business, and your professional activities as a whole. Networking comes into that as well, yeah. And of course, your colleagues, your job satisfaction, etc. Okay, so you feel that you're at a 4. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What about your health? This is your mental health, your physical health, exercise, nutrition, sleep, all of that. A 7. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. In terms of family and friends, are you surrounded by loved ones? Do you get support from them? Do you see them often? A 9. Great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Wonderful. That's great to hear. What about romance or significant other? Do you have someone in your life that you feel fulfilled by? Or if you don't, do you feel okay with that? A 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. All right. And finally, the money slice. Do you feel you have as much money as you would like to have? How are your finances? Are you in debt? Do you feel comfortable with where you are with that? A 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So now we're starting to see a picture of where you are in your life. And the key to this, what this exercise helps us understand, are 2 things. First, where are the areas where we need to put some extra attention right away? And as you might expect, those are the areas that are the least filled in. So the areas with the lowest score. And the second thing it shows us is the overall health of your wheel. So the reason this exercise is called Wheel of Life is because, like any other wheel, it serves us best and it takes us places more successfully if it is round and even. So the more uneven our wheel is, the harder our life becomes. And this is very important to realize because sometimes when we put too much attention into one place, other places in our lives can suffer. So there is no right or wrong scale or point on the scale where you need to be. It's not necessary to be at a 10 everywhere, but we want to see less of the rugged edges that we're seeing here. So as you can see, in terms of the balance of your wheel, some areas are a lot more developed and some areas are a lot less developed. And I can say that the areas where we might want to spend particular attention straight away are your money and career axis here, and then your romance axis here. Okay? Which one of these areas do you think you'd like to focus on today? This axis here. Okay? And why is that? Okay. That makes sense. So what you're telling me is that you're spending a lot of time on your career here, but you're not feeling that you're getting the returns that you want in terms of money, and also you're not finding any time for a significant relationship because all of your time is being spent here, and yet you're not very far out. What is really good to see though is that your personal development slice is an 8 out of 10. So you do feel fulfilled by your job, but you just don't feel you're getting back what you would like. Yeah? Okay. So it's not a bad place to be. Yeah. How do you feel about all this so far? Yeah, it does open your eyes seeing it all together, doesn't it? Okay. You can definitely keep a copy of this. I'll be sending it to you together with all the other materials, but I would like to keep the original in your file here for your future sessions. Is that okay? Great. So let's talk about what it is about your career activities and your job at the moment that means that you're only getting 4 out of 10 in your career slice and then not really experiencing too much time or focus being available here in your romance section. Okay. Yeah. I can see that. So that's really interesting. So what you came in for is trying to get more organized because you're losing track of what's important. And so it seems like you're spending all of your attention in this area here, and you are feeling that your disorganization is taking away time and energy that you could be spending elsewhere. Okay. So tell me, in your career, money, and romance slices, where would you like to be as a goal? Okay, so here. Here. Okay. And here. All right. So here's what's interesting. Is when you look at it this way, you can see where your wheel might get you. And yes, you're absolutely right. Probably, if you're able to spend some more time with a significant other, fun and recreation may grow as well. That's a very good point. So if we shade in where you would like to be as a result of our work together, you can start to see the shape of your future wheel. Okay, so as you can see, it would mean that your wheel would be a lot more even and a lot steadier for long journeys. I'm glad you liked the analogy. So have a look at that. This is the wheel we would like to have as a result of working together. Okay. Wonderful. So one simple thing we can begin doing straight away is an exercise in learning some basic organization. All right? So what I'd like to do is teach you a very simple tool that has helped many of our clients before that you can begin to do straight away after this session. Okay? What we're going to do is learn how to better manage our time by learning to visualize a time map of our future, immediate and medium length future. Okay? So let's say that we're dealing with the months of January 2017 and February 2017. Okay? What we're going to do is create 2 lists. The first list we're going to create is going to be a list of all of your obligations. Okay? So your obligations go on one end. And then we're going to make a list of all your wants. Okay? And the way we're going to use this is we're going to create a shopping list of everything that you want and need to achieve with your time in the next month. Okay? I'm going to switch pens because this pen is leaking a little bit. That happens, nothing's perfect. Alright, so let's get started with your obligation. You say you work full-time. We're going to think of our life right now in the context of 1 week. So that is going to be your unit of analysis, okay? Just 1 week. So in a regular week, how many hours do you spend in your full-time job? Remember that we're talking about all 7 days of the week. So your full-time job, you spend 38 hours there, okay? Then you have your business. Okay, so it's kind of ad hoc. So let's think about the last few months and average it out on an average week. Half a day, so 4 hours. Okay? And you're waiting for that to grow. That's understandable, but let's work with what's going on today. Okay? Alright. What other obligations do you have? Do you care for anyone else? Okay. Sure. Okay. So you help your elderly neighbor get groceries. That's absolutely admirable. Well done. So what's her name? Grace? Okay. So helping Grace, how many hours a week would that be? 1 hour. Okay. Wonderful. So those are your obligations so far. What other things do you do on a regular basis? You exercise, so gym. How many hours per week is that? Roughly 4. Okay. And what about things like taking care of your space, cleaning, groceries? So I call it upkeep, paying the bills and all of that good stuff. Roughly 4. Okay. So now, let's have a look at your list of obligations. What we want to do is translate it into days, okay? So this would be half a day. This would be half a day. This is negligible, so let's keep that on the side. This is another half day. And then you have your 38 hours here. If we round them up to... Yes, so very good question. So when I say half a day, I mean out of the working day. We don't take 24 hours because, yeah, you would like to look at your day as a whole. Alright, so let's assume how much do you sleep on a regular day? Right, so 9 hours of sleep plus, let's say, 3 hours or so waking up, going to bed, showering, etc. Let's turn that into a third then. Because if we assume 12 hours per day are available to us to do activities, you have here already a full day set aside. And then if you take your 40-hour week on average and you divide that by 12, so roughly roughly 4 days, right? That's a very good question. I definitely need some math lessons here. So 12 times 4 means 48, right? So it's more like okay, so it's more like 3.5 days, isn't it? So 3.5 days. So what we're going to do is at the top here, we're going to write your shopping list. So we're going to write job equals 3.5 days. Then we're going to write business takes a third. Grace is negligible, so we're going to keep that on the side, but we'll just write 1 hour. Your gym, which is a third, and your upkeep, which is a third. So now you have your obligations down. Now, let's think about what you would like to do in a typical week, okay? Okay, so in terms of finding a partner or going on dates, so let's call it romance. Let's think. Let's say if you want to sign up to some dating websites, or maybe spend time with friends who might have single friends as well to recommend to you. And when you do go on dates, let's say if you go on 2 or 3 dates a week, which is about a night's worth, so let's say 3. So you want to spend something like 12 hours or so, which equals 1 day. Then what else would you like to do? Some time for your hobbies, maybe sign up to a class once a week, so let's say 2 hours a week. Okay, great. Anything else? Sure, some free time as well. Now, when we say free time, it is a term that I don't like to use so much because all of our time is occupied with something, even if it's resting. So is this what you mean here? Just miscellaneous activities that relax you? So let's call it relaxation. So about 6 hours, which is half a day a week. So now what we're going to do is fill in all your obligations into your schedule and see if we have enough sufficient time for your wants here. Okay, so this list you know you have to do, and this list we need to know if we have enough time, and this helps us to diagnose whether we're suffering from a lack of time. So how do we do this? We use this visual system for that. Okay, the way we're going to do it is take a sample week, such as this week, and we're going to begin by taking our full-time job, which is 3.5 days, and we're going to color it in. So that's 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days. And the important thing is you don't look at this as a calendar necessarily, because a lot of the time when we use a calendar and we put in all of our appointments, it looks a little bit messy. It's a half hour here and an hour here. Think of this week as a bucket, and we're filling it with cups of water. We want to see how full it gets, okay? So half a day here, so 3.5. So this is your job, okay? Then we have your business, which is a third of a day, gym, which is a third of a day, and upkeep, which is a third of a day. So that's a full day. Okay, so this has allowed us to make sure that all 3 things are covered. So the good news is that we now know that with all things considered, your obligations are taking up 1, 2, 3, 4.5 days of every average week. Okay, that is time that is not yours. Okay, it's time that is already booked up and you're accounted for. So time where you don't have flexibility. Okay, The good news is that we have 1.5 days to play with. So the trick is, how many days or hours did we need for our free time? So we said that for a romance, we want to spend roughly a day. And again, those hours may be dispersed throughout actual other days in the calendar. But all in all, they add up to about a day. So we have 1 day accounted for. Then we have free time or relaxation, which is half a day, so we can fill that in. And then we have 2 hours for hobbies and 1 hour for grace. That's 3 hours, which is roughly a third of a day. It's a quarter of a day. So we need to take a quarter of this day as well and close it up, okay? So, we talked about free time before. You have 3/4 of a day. Granted, a day is 12 hours, like we said. You have 3/4 of a day truly free, so unallocated, so that's great because we can play with where that goes. And we're also seeing here that you're spending the majority of your time on your obligations. It's quite normal. And you have a little bit of time left for your wants, and potentially even more time available if you should choose. How does that feel so far? Yeah, so that's a really great point. And that is exactly the homework that I want to give you. Now, this is our ideal scenario. And this is the obligations you have in theory, right, on paper. What I would like you to do is a measuring exercise that you will bring back with you in 2 weeks' time when we meet next. And what I want you to do in the next 2 weeks is you're going to write down every hour of the day, what are you actually doing? Are you at work? Are you doing one of your want activities? What is it that is occupying your time? One previous client of mine, for example, had a similar layout for her week. And then we discovered that when she gets stressed, she watches a lot of YouTube. So we actually found out that a third of her time was going toward YouTube, so all of her free time. And while it was relaxing her in the short term, we were able to find a better way to use her time by reallocating some of that time toward activities that were creative, where she was producing things, because that's what really got her going, okay? And that's what we want to do with you. We want to see how realistic is this today. All right, so I'm going to send you a different kind of schedule where each hour of the day is accounted for. And I want you to try and fill it in at least once a day. But if you can do it as you go along, it'll be that much more accurate. And it's more like an inventory of your next 2 weeks. It can be extremely illuminating. You can learn very, very much about yourself. And what we will do is when you come back, we'll go and code each one of those activities based on obligation, need, or want. And we'll see what your actual week looks like, okay? Once we've done that, we'll see if we can learn some lessons about where your time is going. Great. Oh, I'm so glad. I think that there's a lot we can do together. You can definitely progress toward your desired wheel of life. I think you are a very self-aware person. I think you're very hardworking and obviously very dedicated, but also maybe a little bit hard on yourself. So all those things together can create a recipe for someone who feels very busy, does a lot for others, but maybe not enough for yourself. Does that sound fair? Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you came in today, and I really look forward to working together. There's no pressure to do so. Go through all the materials I send you after today, see how they feel and how they resonate, and then you can reply to me and let me know what you'd like to do. But today's activities and the homework I'm sending you are completely on the house, okay? Wonderful. So thanks for coming in, and see you next time.